really big moments for quarter four by early next week.
What is Pudgy's biggest long-term goal?
Create products and experiences that people love and grow the brand into the hearts and minds of hundreds of millions of people. I want you to be able to close your eyes and think of every big partnership that we could get.
We don't have any limits. We can expand as much as we want and as we can. Can you imagine catching one of these toys from the kinder?
It's on my list.
We already got the first alpha.
This is probably the alpha of the conversation, but I want to start doing like venture investing on an Igloo Inc. level. If Pudgy Penguins succeeds, the NFTs will succeed with it.
2026 will be for new all-time highs.
Definitely going to end the year with a bang. You guys are doing great stuff. You know, a lot of people are doing things there.
Could you share any alpha about Pudgy Penguins that you haven't shared anywhere else yet?
Here we go!
Yo, legends! Welcome to another one-on-one stream. Today we got a legend himself, CEO of Pudgy Penguins, Luca Netz. Luca, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you, Maximus?
I'm doing good too. Thank you so much for taking the time to come to my stream. I'm actually curious, how was the Art Basel? I saw some pics, clips.
Art Basel's great. You know, we're based in Miami, so always fun, always easy. Love doing events where I don't have a big flight ahead and after. And I think, dude, it was one of the biggest events at Basel. It was 2,000-3,000 people, I think, when it came through the event. So it was pretty awesome.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Like I heard from the previous Art Basels that you are usually sharing some kind of alpha there. Did it happen this time?
Probably less alpha this time around, just because I don't know where the market sits currently. It's a little bit of an interesting spot. Obviously, we had some really big moments for quarter four. I think you guys will see a couple of them before the year's over. I think there's a couple that we're probably just going to hold off. I mean, I've kind of communicated to the community that like a lot of these announcements, a lot of these things, like I want the community to be rewarded for it. I want the believers to be rewarded for it. When the market is risk off, you know, it's very hard, you know, for the NFT ecosystem and meme ecosystem. Like you can go against the grain and you can be more performant than others. And obviously that's been our MO for a long time. But, you know, some of these big things that we've been working, you know, years for, I just kind of want to save for peak mania. But there's going to be a couple things I think you guys will see, you know, by early next week. There's going to be a really special moment that I think is going to be super exciting. And, yeah, it's probably less alpha this year just because like market's in such a weird spot. And yeah, we're just head down shipping right now. I think now's a good time for us to just be shipping.
Yeah, totally understandable. I hope maybe we'll get some kind of alpha during this stream. I prepared some questions, some interesting questions, and yeah, I would like to start right away, but let me take a few seconds to let you guys know that we are live on Abstract 10x at the same time right now. So if you are watching here or there, please support this stream in the chat with your like, comment, retweet, bookmark. I'm sure it can not only be useful for you, but also for other people. So just share, spread the word, and I will be very, very grateful. And we're gonna start today. We're gonna dive deeper. We're gonna talk about Pudgy NFTs, Pudgy, about Pengu, toys, partnerships, and about Pudgy ecosystem in general. We have a super limited time, like 30 minutes. But yeah, I prepared some hottest questions to discuss the most relevant topics, and I think which interests many of us. So I hope you guys will enjoy it, and let's get started. Luca, like Pudgy Penguins has tripled its shipments this year. I feel it like this, and I believe our viewers as well. A sea of news, innovations, exclusive opportunities, products, global partnerships, also abstract, Pudgy Party success. And especially in the last few months, we have got many exciting announcements such as Kung Fu Panda, Bear Brick, NHL Winter Classic, Care Bears today, by the way. Tomorrow will be the drop, and many others. So I'm curious, what is Pudgy's biggest long-term goal for partnerships and ecosystem products?
Yeah, I think create products and experiences that people love, and grow the brand into the hearts and minds of hundreds of millions of people would be like the simplest way. I want you to be able to close your eyes and think of every big partnership that we could get, Pokemon, McDonald's, whatever you could think of. Like I want to be able to fulfill it, right? Like I think we're in a leadership position at this point where it's like we have a huge lead on IP and brand in crypto, and the goal is to never lose that lead and to just continue to pioneer and pave the way and just show people like how possible it is, and to be like crypto's ever first true transcendent mass market brand. Like how cool would that be? It's already happening, it already is, but imagine what Pudgy Penguins is today, 10 times bigger. It's on that trajectory. It's possible. I think a little bit of a pivot from us, that you'll see at least going into the new year and the years to follow, is a really a big focus on quality. Quality was probably not the biggest. Like we have some really high quality products, and we have some products, specifically the mass market products, that probably are a little lower quality. I think it's really important that everything across the board is high quality. And so I no longer want to be the cheapest toy on shelf. Right now, Pudgy Penguins has, very competitive prices, in the shelves of Walmart and other places. Um, I no longer strive to be the cheapest and most affordable. I strive to be the best, right? And we're pivoting our toy line, uh, into next year. And so we partner with Schleich, which is like an example of like obviously some of the highest quality toys that you can see, Bear Brick, precipice of quality, etc., or the golden standard for quality. And so I think from our perspective, just seeing higher quality goods, everything coming out of our camp has to be of the highest quality. And I think a majority of our stuff is, but I think there's some stuff that I'm not too proud of. And so making sure that we have nothing out there that we're selling to people that we're not completely proud of, and making sure we have the right quality assurance, etc.
That's a great intention. And to be honest, I'm waiting for my bear brick. I want to get it to my hands and see the quality, but I'm sure it's good. And at this point, I think we don't have any limits, absolutely any limits. We can expand as much as we want and as we can. And I have one like suggestion, or maybe you're already thinking about it: partnerships with Kinder. I think it's gonna be massive. Like these igloos. Can you imagine coaching one of these toys from the Kinder? That would be super super powerful, in my
It's on
opinion.
my list. It's on my list.
Okay, we already got the first alpha for today, guys. That's amazing. Yeah, and to be honest, I had a question about today's announcement, but we already got it 30 minutes before the stream about Care Bears drop tomorrow. And I got a question from the people, from the holders, about that teased collectible at Art Basel, black one. Um, I'm not sure when it will be revealed, and maybe it's VanEck one.
So the VanEck one we showed, the one that was hidden under the veil, I think will be
Mm.
very relevant for our Europeans. Obviously, soccer oriented, as you can kind of tell. Football oriented, obviously for the Europeans. But it's another global partnership, right? More global partnerships, the better. So um, you will see it soon. You'll see it before the year's over for sure.
Oh yeah, because like I think there were rumors and pics that it should be revealed on December 11th, so basically today. Um,
It won't
but
be
probably
revealed
like
today. It'll be revealed. You'll know what it is before the year's over for sure.
okay, I got it. And how about VanEck one? When it will be available for purchase?
We will see on the VanEck one, but it's a whole collection. We have like puffers and like vests and backpacks and ties. It's super sick. It's like a fine Pudgy Penguins invades finance collection. So it's just going to be everything. It's not just going to be the collectible. The collectible, I think, is going to be a grail, but I think it's going to be, everything else that comes with it.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much for sharing it. And in addition to many companies changing their PFPs to lots of partnerships, we have also seen congressmen change their PFPs for Pudgy. So I want to ask, maybe you can give us a clarification of it or any hints. Is there any deeper sense to this, and what might it mean for us and the ecosystem?
Yeah, it's a great question. I've been telling people since the beginning of the year that like we've been going to DC. And so I think now we're probably like 20 trips deep into going to Washington, whether it's myself, Lorenzo, Vedant, Peyton, other members of the team. Like we just want to be at the forefront of everything in the government, whether it's legislation, law, new things that, we can know are happening ahead of time so that we can position ourselves to kind of be the first to market in some of these changes. And we've built an amazing relationship with people on Capitol Hill. And what I think you're seeing, some of these congressmen PFPs are just like us having a dialogue with them and us saying like, welcoming them into our community and them just wanting to be a part of it and trying to understand it, right? Like all of these things are coming about as a byproduct of the conversations we've been having for the last year. And I think today they're very symbolic, and I think it's cool and it's fun and exciting. I think it just continues to solidify ourselves as the face of crypto, right? And so, we ask, some of our friends over there if they can participate, and I think eventually it's going to metamorphosize into something big. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we are, cited in law and in cases, and really just one of those groups that's at the forefront of shaping this for the others. I think, look, at the end of the day, I'm very convinced we're the leader today in culture and crypto. Like we all, as an industry, need to play our part. Like I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity and our success to, play that part and to push it forward. And while others are talking to them, people on Capitol Hill about different things, we're having very unique conversations that I think only us can have, right? About collectibles, about digital identity, about community. These are things, community alignment is a big topic of conversation, specifically when I've gone to the Hill, right? Like, how can I have my early believers participate in the upside of the business? Like, and the people understand why I would want that, right? Like I tell them our story and they're like, yeah, it would be really cool if your NFT holders, could buy in day one on the IPO before all the bankers do, right? Like that would be great. That would be great if you could offer things to Pengu token holders, right? And there's some things that are still gray. I try not to do things that are gray. I don't want to be on the wrong side of history. And so I try to do things that like are very clear within the bounds of the law. But like, I know we are going to swing really big over these next couple of years. And I want to make sure that I can maximize holder value to the best of my ability, if and when that stuff happens. But to make all of my aspirations happen, I can't just sit there and hope the legislation is going to write itself, right? Like if I want holders in on IPO before the bankers, we got to craft that. Like we gotta make sure that is kosher and that is above board. And you're only going to do that by going to Capitol Hill and speaking with all these guys, right? And seeing how you can help them, and then they can reciprocate the value, et cetera. And that's been a big focus of ours.
That's awesome. And I would say we are ready. We are, as a holders, we are super, super ready for what's coming. And to sum it up about congressmen, so it's basically a signal, right, that they are in a good friendship with Pudgy Penguins and they believe in the future, as we got it from you, right?
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah, I would like to touch the topic of Pengu and Pudgy NFTs ETF also, because I have searched during like the past months for all the interviews and previous interviews to prepare the most like unique questions out of everything, and inner Iglos as well. And I'm kind of curious about ETF because this is the hot topic for the last year, I think. And what stage is this at now after Pengu, the opening bell, and the news about Solana ETF?
Yeah, it's at the final stages. And to be frank, if you were to put a gun in my head 6 months ago, I thought it would have already been live by now. But the government shut down. There's obviously been semantics and things going on in the market, things like that. It's at a place where it's not in our control, right? Like it is, when the CBOE picked up the ETF, everything up until that point was in our control. Once the CBOE picked it up, it now went into a black box. And that black box is something that we have no visibility on and no real control over, unfortunately. I mean, I'll probably know a week or two ahead of time, but it's a little frustrating because again, gun in my head 6 months ago, I'd have told you, yeah, it's going to be live for sure before 2025 is over. And obviously there are some things that we couldn't control happen along the way, just with the broader macro environment, both on a government shutdown perspective and macro risk on perspective. But we're on it. I mean, we do follow up once a week, once every 2 weeks, just for a status report. But we kind of get the same answer at this point, which is like, it's in their court. It's in their court. And a lot of others, you know what I mean, that were filed around the same time, right? A lot of things that were filed like a year prior to us, obviously are out there, but it's a pretty big backlog in the SEC channel. I would probably imagine, because I know a lot of other people who have some extremely awesome projects. Solana got pushed, so that was good. But that like just started getting pushed. You know what I mean? And what they filed a year and a half ago. And I think they just started going live a month ago, if that. So again, frustrating, but I'm blessed to even be in the position because I know we're in the best position, right? All things considered, like you can file for one, but if you don't get that, if you don't take it to that next tier, which is where we're at, and somebody picks it up, it's, probably never gets approved. But when somebody picks it up, they're basically saying like, we're going to put our resources and infrastructure to push this into the market.
As I feel it, you still have hopes that it will happen.
Yeah, I have no reason why it won't happen. Yeah, I totally think it will happen. I just think it's like, when is it going to happen? I don't know. But there's no reason for it not to happen. If CBOE didn't pick it up, I'd give you a different answer. I'd say, okay, we filed it 6-7 months ago. Nobody's picked it up. There's been no S1s. There's like no extra filings on it. Like it's probably dead in the water. Like nobody's interested. And then I'd give you a different answer. But there was really two moments that mattered, right? Like, and if you look at the Pengu momentum, it wasn't even the filing that was meaningful, right? Like I remember the day of the filing, like the market didn't react that well. It was whatever, right? Because a lot of people can file. You can file for an ETF. Filing for an ETF is not rocket science, right? It costs some money, etc. Getting picked up by the CBOE or a NASDAQ, like or NYSE, that's when the ETF is like, oh shit, right? And that specifically, like when we announced that the CBOE picked up Pengu, that's when things got really exciting. People were like, holy shit. Like this is it was the lowest market cap coin at the time that any, the closest coin that had gotten either the CBOE or the NYSE to pick it up, right, was worth $5 billion, right? Like that was the cheapest coin. So when they picked up, and that's kind of how I think we saw a lot of momentum in the summer.
Yeah, got it. Thank you for the explanation. And also, like, let's touch on the point that that doesn't depend on government in most of the ways, that Pudgy NFTs and their price. I remember your takes about it on recent Inner Igloos, but maybe we can chat briefly about it here in public on the live stream. What is the main catalyst for Pudgy NFTs pump at the moment, right now?
Yeah,
Maybe market, maybe community, maybe biggest partnerships. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think in the short to medium term, and there's three prongs in how to underwrite the NFT side. Long term, just digital first edition collectible. If this thing is 1/10 of Pokemon, half of what Pokemon is to become, Like these assets are severely underpriced. And I would even say 1/10, like 1/10 of Pokemon is ginormous, right? And Pokemon and their collectible ecosystem have a slew of issues, right? Like I don't know how many first edition Charizards are out there. I mean, like you might think you know, but like nobody actually truly gun to their head can tell you exact amounts across the board. It's impossible, right? Like you just don't. You can maybe know how many are certain are graded, etc., but you get the point. Short to medium term, I think it's a really good proxy on Igloo Inc.'s success, right? And so what I mean by that is like a perfect example is like Abstract, right? If Abstract is a huge success, we will figure out a way to drive value to Penguin holders. Pudgy Penguin NFTs are worth, $15,000 a day. Do you think we can drive more value to that? The last time we drove value to the ecosystem, it was $100,000 a Penguin. And even if you would have held that airdrop to today's price, it's about $20,000 to $25,000 a Penguin. So worth more than what the Pudgy NFTs are worth today. And so I hope everybody believes in our ability to provide value to them. And so if Igloo Inc. acquires another company, right, and that company, has a moment, then you can give that to the NFTs. If we IPO, you can obviously give NFT holders preferential treatment. One thing we're going to get back doing, and I challenge the community team, 2026, like time to do, Igloo Inc. is probably the alpha of the conversation, but I want to start doing like venture investing on an Igloo Inc. level with our balance sheet. Like, what if I venture invest in the next great protocol and Igloo Inc. owns 5% of it? How can I give, 3.5% of it to NFT holders, right? Like in the conglomerate of like, as we kind of build, like, look, I'm in the belief of accruing value. Now, I don't like this idea that like, oh, I can buy a Pudgy Penguin NFT. I don't need to own a Pudgy Penguin NFT. I can buy it the day before something happens, cash in, get my win, and move on. That won't be the same as it was, right? Like I don't like that function. So like I'm very much like in the business of rewarding my core believers. Sometimes they can get a little jaded because some of their colleagues sold the top and they held the whole thing. But at the end of the day, I'm very convinced that over the medium to long term, like our ecosystem is going to be one of the best collectible ecosystems in the world by a Texas mile. I just think very few people can do what we can do. And so I did challenge the community team to start procuring third-party airdrops again. It was a huge lift back in 2024, but obviously it was a huge breakthrough for us. If you remember, we got like 30, 40 grand in third-party airdrops to NFT holders. That was a great value add. Took a lot of energy and resources. And obviously when we launched Pengu, we focused a lot of those energy and resources there. I think we're going to kind of hire a new team, a SEAL team, third-party airdrop BD team. Obviously keeping the focus on Pengu, but seeing if we can do something for the NFTs on that side and kind of bring back a little bit of that allure. Obviously, like I believe if you're a third party, token or protocol, it serves you and all of your stakeholders very well to airdrop to Pudgy Penguins versus Sybils and Farmers. It's a better community. It's a better brand. They champion harder on the timeline. If you look at the Pudgy Penguins X account, it gets one of the best engagements out of any account on X in crypto and maybe just in X in general. And so it's a huge army that we can deploy and activate. And I think, we'll get back to those roots just in terms of making that case. So I think in the short to medium term, it's a proxy to like Igloo Inc.'s success. Naturally, I think obviously if Pudgy Penguin succeeds, the NFTs will succeed with it. I think the token will probably get more of that delta, meaning like if I announce that Pudgy Penguins were in Walmart in 5,000 stores across the country, I think the token is going to appreciate more on that headline than the NFTs are just because of the liquidity and how like that structure. That's just the difference, I think, between tokens and non-fungible tokens. But I do think like if you're thinking about like immediate short to medium term value, you're betting on our ability to make Abstract successful and other parts of the ecosystem successful. You're betting on our ability, to stand up a BD team to procure third-party airdrops, which we're going to start doing again in 2026. You're betting on our ability to acquire companies and to grow the Igloo that then will, delineate and disseminate value to the holders. And you're betting on us making a great business that we can go and IPO one day to get holders in at the bottom level. Maybe we do a Sonar sale before that or an Echo sale. Obviously, Echo's not around anymore, right? But we get people equity aligned, before the IPO. And obviously, NFT holders just get the best deal possible, token holders, et cetera. there's a lot of ways to accrue value. I think like, at the end of the day, I've been in situations where we've been up and we've been down, moments like right now, just the market is super fatigued. Like, and I'm not super pressed to force an issue right here. I think a lot of people got smoked in 1010. I think now is the time to kind of put your head down and build and ship. People who don't believe, they don't believe. We've made those people rue the day every single time. I don't think there's a NFT collector out there that doesn't regret getting into Pudgy Penguins early. We're honestly at a price that is relatively early to what it was a couple of years ago. So, if you faded back then and you're fading now, it's just like, it's a personal problem, right? It's, not much more we can do at that front. Can't be up only all the time. Red candles make community. It kind of separates the opportunists from the believers. And the believers will be rewarded like they have been for the last couple of years. I think there's very few ecosystems in all of crypto, not just NFTs, right, that have rewarded their ecosystem and their believers the way that we have. And that's not going to change anytime soon. But I'm also conscious that risk is off on a TradFi perspective as of now. I think risk will be on in 2026 when the new Fed chair comes. And now we're just, going to make, end the year with a bang. So we're not ending the year with a bang. We're definitely going to end the year with a bang. But then just saving our biggest and best moments for when I think our community can reap a majority of those rewards.
Appreciate your transparency in this case. And I feel like it's exactly an anniversary for Lil Pudgy's all-time high, for example. Like it happened exactly 1 year ago at this time. And let's see. I believe 2026 will be for new all-time highs, as you just said. Lots of people believe, that, and thank you so much for your transparency. And I know we have like around 5 minutes, right? Five more. I still, to be honest, have 4 questions, but
go ask them away, and then if I'll just wait until somebody yells at me to jump off, but just ask them away.
Okay. So my next question will be about community, about people. Like this year, the Pudgy community has become even bigger and more united, in my opinion. We have got more content creators. We have got more sub communities. Like all the new sub communities are crushing it here and there. And I want to ask you, what would you like to see more of it, of the content, of the efforts, and what would you recommend to do? Because I also got some questions from new people to the ecosystem, to the huddle, and they asked the same question.
The simplest and cheapest thing that anybody can do that takes literally 30 seconds of your time is literally every day, wake up or go to bed and literally just like all of Pudgy Penguins' recent posts, comment under them, and retweet them. You guys would be surprised, but like it does make a humongous difference, because what I found, one of the hardest parts when we were down only in like January, February, March of earlier this year, was one thing that I found was really difficult was with this huge holder base, you'd be surprised how many people don't know what's going on. Right. And if you have 20 or 30 community members following you and you engage with the post, it then shows up on their feed and then they now know what's going on. We're doing the heavy lifting in terms of making sure there's things going on, right? Like we are not a dead ecosystem. Like every week, every month, there's something meaningful going on. Every day, arguably, there's something meaningful going on. You just be surprised on how little people know that there's something going on. Right. And so that what I saw this problem 8 months ago, which was the delineation of information. People weren't seeing everything that was going on. They were like, what's going on? And I was like, what do you mean what's going on? Just go to the X account and scroll for 1 minute and you'll know exactly what's going on. A lot's going on. Right. And I've always prided ourselves as like our X being like our billboard, of like what we're doing. Right. Like nobody should be confused as to what we're doing. Just go to our X account. And so you'd be surprised. Like I never want to ask the world of people. But if you really just wanted to make like a really high impact, low lift, thing to help the huddle, like, comment, retweet, bookmark, quote, retweet, if it makes sense. Obviously, you have your own feed and things that people are doing, but that's awesome. I love content. I love unboxing. I love YouTube videos. I love TikTok videos. I know a couple holders now that are literally saving our Instagram videos, reposting those Instagram videos on TikTok and Facebook and getting paid. right? I'll never
Really?
DMCA any of
Yeah.
that content. Yeah, it's not much, but I know a couple guys making 1,000 a month, 800 a month. I mean, look, if you're not, the US, it's not really a payable salary, but if you're like anywhere that's like second world or third world, $1,000 US, does all the difference. And I'm making all the content. All you got to do is copy and paste it and repost it on your account. And obviously the platform itself will pay you. TikTok will pay you. Facebook will pay you for those views. And we know the videos get views because it's just viral content that we're manufacturing. Obviously, support our products. A big thing for us is just like, if you're getting a friend or a family member a gift for Christmas or for a birthday, like think Pudgy Penguins first. If you like some of the merch that we're making, things like that, obviously deeply appreciate it. Like t-shirts and billboards and plushies are billboards in the real world, or t-shirts and hoodies and plushies are billboards in the real world, right? Those make a huge impact for people, walking down the street. If you're wearing a Pudgy Penguin thing, I had a guy message me, a big holder in Vegas. He's at the World Poker Tour right now. He's like, I'm wearing a Pudgy Penguin hoodie. 5 people came up to me and said, "What's up?" They were part of the community, whatever. So just little things, right? And then it can be as extreme as like throwing events in your local country. I mean, on the most extreme side, the thing that I love the most is people throwing events. Obviously, Pudgy Ukraine, you guys are doing great stuff. A lot of people are doing things there, and like I think events are amazing, right? Like you really are part of a community when you show up to an event, right? Like you have that IRL connection. So everybody's different, but I think I gave a couple options for people who actually want to push the huddle forward. They have a couple options that I just gave that I think could be meaningful.
I hope you guys clipped it. I hope you clipped it. That's amazing. That's really awesome. And I think like it already became a culture. So new people are joining and new people already getting into this mindset and contributing this way with these smallest details, likes, comments, as you said. Like when Pudgy Penguins or you comment on someone's post, like it gets traction right away. Likes, comments, engagement. That's really awesome. Thanks so much for sharing it with us. And yeah, let me ask these questions. Maybe you can answer briefly, because you have to go. Uh, like it's easy questions in some ways, but super valuable and interesting for us as community members, as holders. Like obviously, you can't yet disclose details about the rumored company acquisition, but perhaps you could briefly tell us its impact on the Pudgy ecosystem.
I can't speak on it.
Okay.
But I think its impact on the ecosystem is if it's a valuable company, and whether it's equity or future tokens or et cetera, it's more opportunity for the Penguins, right? Like everything that I bring into the Igloo is to create more opportunity for the Penguins. I'm not bringing anything into the Igloo that's not going to create more opportunity for the community, is what I will say.
Okay. I just prepared a tricky question. I wanted to get some alpha, but not today.
It was a good trick.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, last two questions for you, Luca. Like we have seen a massive success of Pudgy Party, and that's a huge achievement. Uh, Also, many people, even those who don't own Pudgy assets, but just the toys. Like I have seen people buying like 500, 1K toys for the QR codes for the game. Like they are awaiting Pudgy World, and you already teased it on the inner igloo. But what stage is it at, and what will make this game unique here? And that's the main
Yeah.
question. What
You're
will
going to see
make
Pudgy
it
World ASAP. Like you're going to see it within the next 6 weeks, and it will be adjacent to a toy claim for the QR codes. So obviously that's like a year late. I apologize in advance, but I didn't want to launch the claim for the QR codes without the thing being live. You're going to see Pudgy World no matter what in the next 6 weeks. And if you bought some toys, scan those QR codes, collect those traits, because you'll probably, there'll probably be some Pengu waiting for you.
Okay, okay. I heard a lot of questions about it even
Yeah.
before announcement of this interview. So just wanted to ask
It's a little
for
bit
the
of a
people.
stain on our reputation. Like I'm gonna be frank, I don't think we handled that whole process that well. But and I didn't really communicate about it and talk about it. But I saw a little bit of the FUD, and I was just like, I kind of brushed it off because I was like, I know we're gonna take care of it, and ultimately, like We have a plan for it, and what do I think the game's going to look like? I really don't know. I think it's going to be, Pudgy Party is a AAA experience. Everybody watching this, go to the App Store, download Pudgy Party, leave us a review. We really appreciate it. Like, that's a AAA experience. I think Pudgy World won't be a AAA experience. It'll be a different experience, though. I think it's going to be a lot more social and a lot more interactive. And like Pudgy Party is competitive, Pudgy World is social. So it's all about having a good time.
Okay, that's the alpha. Pudgy World is a social, and I feel like it's gonna be innovative, 100%, because Pudgy Penguins can't do another way. Yeah, and let's go to the last question. I hope you can answer it. Before we wrap this session, could you share any alpha about Pudgy Penguins that you haven't shared anywhere else yet?
I don't know if I haven't shared it anywhere else. I probably gave you something, honestly, in this conversation that there's
Yeah.
something there's something in between this conversation that I haven't given anywhere else. I can't think on the top of my mind though.
Okay, but something, just something. Maybe you shared recently somewhere, but most people don't know
Alpha with
about it.
Pudgy Penguins.
Or abstract, or abstract.
Yeah, abstract's probably easier. The the alpha starts with an S and ends with a C. That's it.
Let's go, guys. Clip it right now. Clip it right now. Luca, I hope you enjoyed personally this interview. I enjoyed it. I hope next time, I think next year, we will meet for a longer time to dive more deeper into the topics. But yeah, I know that you need to go to the meetings. So I really, really appreciate you for coming. Thank you so much and have a good day.
Thanks, Maximus. Have a good day too.
Bye bye. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.